What's up, guys? So back with you for Sunday, April 20th. Happy Easter, everybody. Like I said, I will be going to my own version of church in a little while, which is I'm going to be in attendance at the Boston Celtics Orlando Magic playoff game. So that is what I'll be doing in the afternoon. And this is my church in the morning, I guess. Being a total degenerate and trying to figure out what I'm going to bet on. And I figured it out yesterday, 3-1, 2 days in a row, 3-1. Unfortunately, the loss was the game that I added late. I said, I'm going to play the Kansas City Royals. They didn't get there. The other 3 wins, easy win on the Minnesota Timberwolves, easy win on the Colorado Avalanche. And then I did have the, it was a baseball play that won, right? What the hell was it, though? Oh, the over in Yankees Tampa yesterday. Yeah, that one was easy as well. That one soared over the total. I have another play in that series today, and I'm going a completely different way. Trying to be selective again. Let's get into it, man. We'll jump into it right away. I do have one play in NBA, one in NHL, and I got, I think, 3 baseball plays. We can start with NBA, I guess, because it is up first, although the board is all out of order here. It's Grizzlies Thunder is the first game up, and this is going to be the 1-8 matchup here. Thunder up from 11.5 to 13.5, so money is coming in on the Thunder. I don't disagree with it. 73% of tickets, 84% of cash coming in on the Thunder. I forget what the season series looked like. I don't know if maybe were the Grizzlies able to get one game against the Thunder this year? They might have been. I don't even remember. I looked through like all the season. I mean, we could look real quickly again if we want, but I looked through all the season history, and I'm like, yeah, I don't know. I don't really see anything that's that of note there. No, the Thunder went 4-0 against them. I don't know why I thought they were 3-1. But anyway, I think Memphis is in a bad spot as well because they had to go through the play-in. So they played 2 games. They had a heartbreaker against the Golden State Warriors out on the Pacific Coast. Then they came back home and had to get that win over Dallas. Now they're going out on the road again. The only drawback, I guess, if you think there is one, is that Oklahoma City, you have to gauge if they're going to be rusty or not because they've been resting for a while. As they had the 1 seed locked up long ago. So they did have a lot of games where I think they didn't play their starters. So that's the one thing you have to really worry about. I still would probably lean to Oklahoma City laying the points in this one if I was going to play the side. The total is way up. And like I said, I actually like the over in this as well. It's up from 226 up to 230 juice to the over now, though. So it's gone way up. And it's really just a matter of the fact that these 2 teams are going to be both playing at a fast pace because that's what they do. Although the Thunder do have a really good defense. So, I don't know. I mean, those are my leans in that one. That's not going to be one where I have a play. Unfortunately, we have 3 double-digit spreads in the games today. The next one up is the game I'm going to be at, Magic Celtics. Celtics up from 12 to 13.5 with 69% of tickets, only 64% of the cash. So they're the only double-digit favorite that does not have the cash disparity on them. And I think some of it is a matter of the fact that this is supposed to be a way low-scoring game. It's down from 209.5 to 206. Juice to the under, 75% of tickets, 87% of the cash on the over. So maybe some money coming back in on the over just because they think maybe the line has dropped too far at this point. But the Magic and the Celtics both play at a really slow pace. It's kind of why the Celtics are lethal. People kind of think they play fast, but they don't really. They just hit a ton of threes and they take really good shots. Magic plays slow as well, and they're not as good an offensive team. They're pretty good defensively. So we could be in a defensive game here. I do expect it to be pretty low scoring. Maybe not low enough to go under this low total at this point. And I missed the boat on these totals, man. These totals in the NBA playoffs move quite a bit. And, of course, just generally you're going to see a total move more than a side will just because the total has more points involved. So a 4-point move on the total is less significant than a 2 or 3 point move on the actual side. Celtics, a lot of times they will show up and not be focused in a game when they're a double-digit favorite at home and just think, we can just win this game easily. And the last time I was at the Garden, that was one of those games where the Celtics lost to the Bulls. I only went to 2 games this season. One was the win over Cleveland, the first time the teams matched up, and it was the end of Cleveland's undefeated season. The other was the Celtics not playing well right before Christmas against the Bulls. But I do think the Celtics should be focused in this game because, this is the start of the playoffs. You should be focused. And the Magic just beat the Celtics by 20 points like 3 games ago. So I don't think the Celtics are going to take them as lightly this time. In that game, the Celtics didn't play any of their starters in that game. The Celtics should, for the most part, have their starters going here. I mean, I think a couple of them are questionable, but if they can play, they're going to play. It's the playoffs. So obviously, I expect the Celtics to win the game. Whether or not they cover is a different story. Staying away from this game as well. And hopefully, of course, the Celtics get it done for my sake. I was going to say one other thing about this, and I can't remember what it was now. Yeah, I don't even remember. But if the Celtics were, like, resting some of their guys, just like with all 3 of these top teams here, they could be a little bit rusty because they rested some of their guys. So that is one concern. Miami and Cleveland, I actually am going to have a play on this one, and I'm going to lay the big price with Cleveland. I think it's minus 12.5 right now, but I'm going to lay it with Cleveland here, man. I just think this is a bad spot for Miami. Miami is the first team that has ever gotten into the playoffs as a 10 seed, which means they had to win 2 straight games on the road. I know they weren't traveling that much, going from Chicago down to Atlanta. Now they're going up to Cleveland, but they're still having to play like 3 games in 5 days or whatever it is, all on the road, while Cleveland's just resting, preparing for this, waiting for it. And I know Cleveland actually didn't do well against Miami this year. Cleveland lost one of the games in Miami, and Cleveland only won by 5 in the last game they played in Cleveland. So people might look at this, and the public might actually think, oh, the Miami's a live dog here. Like, they look good in the play-in. But, yeah, I mean, in the play-in, they played 2 teams that play no defense at all. They played Atlanta and what was the other team? The Bulls. Yeah, because I was on that game on Miami. This is a totally different story. I know Eric Spoelstra is a good coach. Good coaching is only going to get you so far, though, and I think Cleveland – also, because they didn't perform that well against Miami during the regular season, I think Cleveland will actually be ready and show up in this game. And I know Cleveland was resting guys as well because they had the 1 seed locked up. Not as long as OKC did, but Cleveland did play pretty much all of their starters except for Mitchell in their second to last game. So they're kind of keeping their guys like used to playing at least. So I think the rust factor actually might be a little less for Cleveland. And I think Miami is going to be hurt by this lack of rest here coming into this game. It's just been a rough stretch for Miami, man. So I do think Cleveland will win this game by margin, and that is the way that I'm going there. I'm going to be on the Cavs minus the points, and it looks like the cash percentage agrees with me as the number's up from 11.5 to 12.5, 62% of tickets, but 78% of the cash on Cleveland. And that is where I'm going in this one. And then we do see both this game and Warriors-Rockets are supposed to be more mid-tempo. Warriors-Rockets, this game, the total has dropped 4 points on both these games too, by the way, which is kind of crazy. The cash percentage is actually on the over more so, though. In the Cavs-Heat game and in the Warriors-Rockets game, it's actually still less so on the over. I don't know what to take away from that, though. I think that big line move initially is like the right move as far as like we think these games are going to go under, but I think it just moves so far that some like cash comes back in on the over just as a value play. Anyway, in this game, the side is interesting. Warriors, a little bit public, 55% of tickets, only 54% of the cash. But the Rockets have moved from a pick 'em to a 1-point favorite. Pretty interesting. Golden State, they had to go through the play-in, but they only had to play 1 game, and they won at home. And it was a game where they almost lost. So they did have a huge lead in that game, and then they completely took their foot off the gas. So I think that might actually scare the Warriors a little bit. So I don't think that's really a negative for the Warriors, even though the market read is all over the Houston Rockets here. But I'm not so sure about that because, again, Warriors only had to play that 1 game. And I think it's a good thing because the game actually wound up being a really tight game. And that means the Warriors already kind of have a playoff game under their belt, and they're like battle-tested now. So I don't think that's really a bad thing for the Warriors. And that's one thing I should have mentioned with the Heat and I guess the Mavs in the play-in games. The teams that had won that first game in the play-in, they were kind of battle-tested now because they had the 1 win out of the way. So that was, somewhat of an advantage to them, really. Although the Mavs didn't get there, and I didn't like the Mavs in that spot. But just in general, that's a thing to keep in mind. But I think that might help Golden State a little bit. The Rockets, they had the 2 seed wrapped up a long time ago, man. In the West, it was like OKC, Houston, and there was this huge pile of teams all fighting until the end. But those top 2 teams had wrapped it up well before that. So Houston did rest a lot of their players down the stretch as well. So they might be a little bit rusty coming out of the gate as well. So I wouldn't really disagree with maybe looking to the Warriors to win like the first quarter in this game or something like that. Full game, I'm not so sure. But the market read full game is on the Houston Rockets. So that's pretty much that is the breakdown for the NBA playoffs. You got 3 NHL playoff games. The biggest money line favorite here is Carolina against New Jersey. And Carolina, I mean, they get a lot of respect from the odds makers, and rightly so. They're a really good team. And I don't think that's really going to change here. As we've seen, New Jersey has really struggled down the stretch without Hughes. I don't even know if he's back or not, but the money is actually even coming in on Carolina, driving this up further. That is the case with all 3 favorites today. Carolina up from minus 180 to minus 206. And this is the afternoon game here. 87% of tickets, 94% of the cash coming in on Carolina. I don't really disagree with it, but it's not really a situation where I really want to lay those points. The teams split the season series 2-2, I believe, and the home team won every single game. So that bodes well for Carolina to win this game as well. But again, laying a huge price like this, I'm not quite so sure that I would want to do that. Up next, I do have my one play, and that is I'm going to lay the money line with Toronto, even though it is up to minus 160. Actually up from minus 153 to minus 164. Now 75% of tickets, 93% of the cash coming in on Toronto. So Toronto actually has the biggest ticket cash disparity here, and I think it's because Ottawa won every regular season matchup. Toronto has not beaten Ottawa this year. They're 0-3 against Ottawa this year, which is kind of crazy. I didn't really look into it to see like, oh, is there like a crazy situation involved in any of these games where maybe it was a bad spot? I mean, I guess maybe we should kind of look at that just to see. I didn't do it with the Cavs playing Miami either, which maybe I should real quick. Let's just let's prolong the video here. Why not? So we're looking at Maple Leafs, Ottawa. First game, I mean, no, not really. I mean, they were well rested. They were just staying at home. So that was, I don't know why they lost that game. So that's kind of inexplicable. They did have Washington up next, so maybe they looked ahead a little bit. This next game, again, they had rest and went out on the road and lost a close one. So not really a bad spot. And then the last game that they lost, they were coming off a tough game against Florida, I guess. So not really a whole lot to see there. I don't know if any of the scores are misleading in these games. Let's look here. Usually look at the game cast just to see, like, how was this game played. This game was, 2-2, like, pretty much until there was an empty net, so the game was a lot closer than maybe the final score would look. Statistically, Toronto was the way more physical team. They actually won the face-off battle. So that last game, this is the game in March, I believe. Toronto actually kind of won that game statistically in various ways. Let me see. I should have had this prepared beforehand. This game where they lost, they didn't have their best goalie in net, though. They had Stolars in net, which, actually, I don't know who their best goalie is, if it's him or Walls. So I don't know, man. Or Wall, not Walls, Wall. This game, let me see, 3-0. Yeah, Toronto, I mean, they definitely got outshot in this game, but again, they did win the face-off battle, so Toronto does have that advantage going for them in those games, I guess. And then, let's see. The other game was a close 2-1 game. That was with Wall and net. And this game was a loss fairly late in the game. A tie-breaking goal late in the game. Toronto won the face-off battle again in this one, and this is the one game where they didn't have the hit disparity. They did have the shot disparity in that one, so it's not like they got dominated by Ottawa or anything like that. Toronto's the better team, man. I think they will be able to make the adjustments here. Now, coming into playoffs, and I think it gives us a little extra value on Toronto just because they looked bad against Ottawa. And the other thing is, Ottawa, they're new to this again, man. They're not used to being in the playoffs like this. I think maybe they were, maybe 1 or 2 years ago, they were an 8, or not an 8 seed. They were the last team in. They were one of the wild cards, and they were up against like one of the best teams, I think, and just got ousted immediately. And I think that might be a situation like this again. I mean, Toronto has a lot more pedigree. They've been in the playoffs multiple years in a row at this point, so they're way more used to doing this. So I think Toronto has an edge there as well, even though, yes, I know this is a big Ontario rivalry, and Ottawa's usually the little brother, but this is the playoffs now. Toronto lost every game this season, so I think Toronto will be up for this. So we're going to go with Toronto in that one. By the way, let's just look at NBA here. As I said, I was going to look at Cleveland just because I'm kind of curious, like, why did they lose those games, or why did they lose that one game and not play well in the other game against Miami? Let's see. Not preseason, man, regular season. So the game that they lost, they were on a back-to-back, 2 straight road games, so maybe that has something to do with it. That wasn't a good spot for Cleveland. And then the next game they won on the road by 20 points at Miami, and then the other game they lost by 5. That was also on a back-to-back, so maybe there you go. I mean, both of the games that they didn't play that well were on back-to-backs, so Cleveland is certainly not on a back-to-back this time, so I think that's good as well. All right. And then we got the final hockey game here, which is Minnesota and Vegas. And you know I've been preaching all year that Minnesota's overrated, so I do lean to Vegas in this one. But they're laying a bit of a price, up from minus 170 to minus 193. 81% of tickets, 97% of the cash coming in on Vegas. I believe Vegas swept the season series, too, either 3-0 or 4-0. So Vegas, and I don't think it was really misleading in this case. I just think Minnesota's not as good as their record looks. Vegas is the better team and seems to have the edge matchup-wise over Minnesota. So I expect Vegas to win this game, but I'm not going to make a play on this one. Let's go over to Major League Baseball, where I do have 3 plays, and I got a bunch of leads here, and I'm trying to kind of check myself here. One of the earliest games up in the afternoon is my Boston Red Sox going for the sweep against the Chicago White Sox, although, again, as I usually say, a team that's on the verge of getting swept is going to show up a little bit more in that game just because they want to avoid getting swept. But the Red Sox are also one of the biggest favorites of the day. Not the biggest. Philadelphia is bigger, but the Red Sox almost a minus 300 favorite here. Huge favorite. But I think the Red Sox are probably favored by too much in this game. And you do have Sean Burke pitching for Chicago. He's a young guy. Hasn't pitched well so far. And I think he didn't do that well against the Red Sox, I think, when he faced them before either. Or actually, he never faced the Red Sox, excuse me. So he does have a little bit of an edge, maybe, in that he's facing the Red Sox for the first time. And he is also a Massachusetts guy. Chicago's got those 2 Massachusetts starting pitchers there, Burke and I always forget the other guy's name. They all start with S, too. Sean Spencer from Psych. No, whatever the guy's name is. Shane Smith, I think is his name. Shane Smith. He's the better of the 2, although Burke is a decently touted prospect, really. Red Sox have never seen him before. Tanner Houck going for the Red Sox. I mean, he's been awful. I don't think he deserves even a job right now, to be honest. I mean, he is just horrific. He's coming off maybe his worst start ever, giving up 11 earned runs to Tampa in 2 1/3. Just absolutely unacceptable. He's been unbelievably bad since the All-Star break, and I think that last year, the first half of last year was probably a mirage, and he hasn't done well against the White Sox either, along a 300 average and 833 OPS, so don't love how that sets up. I mean, Burke, because he's been doing so bad, though, even though the Red Sox haven't seen him, 7.56 ERA, 1.5 whip, this could be an over game in this one. I mean, it is at Fenway Park, and it should be, I think, decent weather here today. The total's up from 9, juice to the over 9.5. Juice to the over. Probably the way that I would look is, to the over in this game, more so than the side. Let's see. Cincinnati, Baltimore, you got Carson Spires up against Charlie Morton. And we know Charlie Morton is still getting way too much respect in the marketplace, man. I made the mistake of betting him in the last game because I was like, oh, he has good numbers against the opponent. And he does again here. 261 average, 696 OPS. That's not that bad, although 9.8 strikeout walk ratio is not good against the Reds. But, I mean, look at what he's done this year. He has an 8.84 ERA and 1.9 whip, 11 walks, and 24 hits allowed, and 18 1/3. Strikeout number's still good somehow. 19 Ks, even though he's a 41-year-old. He's still actually striking guys out. But I just can't do it, man, until he starts to show signs that he can actually still, get this done. I cannot play on Charlie Morton. So then I was looking and saying, oh, maybe the Reds would be the right side here. As Baltimore won the game yesterday, and I think they really ran out their bullpen yesterday. Yeah, they did. Look at this. They used 7 relief pitchers yesterday in that game against the Reds, and the Reds saved their entire pen, which, wait a minute, what? Carson Spires? Then he can't be starting today. What the hell is happening here? Yeah, something's not right here. Spires pitched out of the pen yesterday. He was probably scheduled to start today, and the Reds said, you know what? We're going to save our bullpen. They used Spires yesterday. So the Reds have the better bullpen, but there's no way Spires is actually pitching in this game, right? I mean, really? After he pitched 4 innings in relief yesterday, they're not going to do that. Hold on. What? No, it's going to be Brent Suter. Yeah, that makes way more sense. But Baltimore's all the way up from minus 145 to minus 194. I mean, what the hell, dude? You want to lay that much of a price with Charlie Morton? I mean, be my guest, I guess. But let's look at Suter's numbers here then, because I have to, like, I now have to handicap this on the fly because this is just ridiculous. Brent Suter, left-hander, let's see. I don't think he's pitched yet this year, right? Has he? Oh, no, he has. He's pitched out of the bullpen. Yeah, that's right. He hasn't been in the starting rotation. He's pitched out of the pen. He's done well out of the pen. 2.7 ERA, 0.75 whip. Don't expect him to go long as a starter, though. I mean, he's kind of an older guy. He is a veteran. His numbers against Baltimore suck. 308 average allowed, 833 OPS. So that's not looking good, so I would not want to have my money on Suter either. Morton has been so bad that maybe an over would make sense, but the totals crashed from 9.5 down to 9, juice to the under, and that is not because of the pitching change to Suter. 76% of tickets on the over, 74% of the cash on the under, so a heavy market agreement on the under in this one. I don't know if I would do that either. I mean, you're talking about Suter against Charlie Morton, man. I mean, that does not seem very conducive to the under, especially with Baltimore's bullpen completely wiped out. I'm not going to do anything there. I'm not going to touch this. The next game up, I do actually have a play, and it is on the Pittsburgh Pirates. I forget what the price was. It was something close to minus 115. I'm going to play the Pittsburgh Pirates, and this is not really about the starting pitching matchup here, but I like the Pirates, how the situation sets up. The market read is good on this one. It's up from minus 115 to minus 117. 60% of the cash on them. 62% of tickets coming in on the other side of Cleveland. Cleveland's going to be public because why wouldn't they? Pittsburgh hasn't been able to hit at all. They're 8-14. Cleveland 11-9, but Cleveland is under 500 on the road. Pirates are sitting at 500 at home, and Cleveland is going for the sweep here, man. So I think the Pirates, they're going to want to try to get this done, man. It might be a spot where Cleveland overlooks the Pirates because they beat them twice already. Not only did they do that, but they just beat Paul Skeens yesterday, man. And usually there's a thing where Pittsburgh doesn't do well in the game after Skeens pitches, and I think a lot of it is because Pittsburgh usually does pretty well in Skeens games. But this time, they lost 3-0, so Cleveland's probably feeling pretty good about themselves that they were able to win a game that Paul Skeens pitched. And it wasn't Skeens' fault. He pitched well again. It was just Pittsburgh could not hit at all. But Pittsburgh hit okay in the previous game when they were up against, who was that? Luis Ortiz. So Pittsburgh, I mean, they're not getting shut out in every game at the very least. And I think they should actually be able to do damage against Logan Allen here. But as I was saying, Cleveland should be able to, they should overlook Pittsburgh here, man. Or they would, I think, have a tendency to overlook Pittsburgh here, I should say, is they've beaten them twice already, and they have a big series up next, man. They got the New York Yankees, and then they have the Boston Red Sox up after that. So those are huge series, and that starts tomorrow. So I think they could easily take Pittsburgh pretty lightly in this game. Logan Allen is pitching. 2.3 ERA looks good, but 1.4 whip indicates that he's going to be a bit overrated here, man. There's a reason why Pittsburgh, even though they have the worst record and they look awful, there's a reason why they're favored here. That's because Logan Allen, I don't think he's really been getting the job done. He has 9 walks and 15 2/3. 11 strikeouts isn't a crazy strikeout rate either. I know he's coming off 2 straight shutouts, although one was against the White Sox, and he didn't even go 5 innings. He's been very inefficient with his pitches, too, which isn't very good, because that means Cleveland is going to have to go to their bullpen, and that's another part of this handicap. It's not just the starting pitching matchup, man. The bullpen and the situation is a big part of it. I think this is a bad spot for Cleveland, but yeah, then Allen was able to shut out Baltimore for 5 2/3 innings. That was his best start of the year, so arguably he has a trajectory that's looking in the right direction. Yeah, that is true, but he hasn't really been getting the job done so far for Cleveland, man. This is his third season, and he actually got worse last year than he was the year before that, because maybe hitters started figuring out what he was throwing. Wasn't great for him last year. This year, again, his ERA looks good, but his whip is indicative that he's still not really getting the job done. He is good against Pittsburgh. In 16 at-bats, he's only allowed 1 hit. 0.62 average, 180 OPS. So usually I do not look to fade a pitcher that has numbers like that against an opposing starting lineup. But I am doing it here because I think Allen is going to be out of the game. And as long as Pittsburgh is still in the game, I actually think that we may be able to get this game done because of the situation and because of what happened yesterday. Cleveland used like all of their best relievers yesterday, man. If you look at this, Pittsburgh only used 2 guys out of the bullpen. Cleveland used all of their best relievers. These 4 relief pitchers, including all of their best relief pitchers. So a lot of them may not be available in this game, even though I know Clay's only pitched through 6 pitches. So maybe they would use him again. But I think situation, bullpen rest-wise, we're looking at Pittsburgh. And Mitch Keller, I think he should be able to keep them in this game. I mean, he's the more veteran pitcher, at least, even though he's never been great. But his season numbers are right in line with what his career numbers are. And I know, again, they're not good. 4.3 ERA, 1.35 whip, but his numbers actually are better than Allen's as far as, like, strikeout walk numbers look better here. I mean, he's got a much better strikeout walk ratio, 17-8. So he's not pitching that badly, and he's really, he only has 1 bad start against the Yankees. His other starts are actually pretty good. I know Cleveland's going to be probably the second best offense that he's faced so far besides the Yankees, because Washington and St. Louis, after a hot start, their offense is cooling off, and then Miami, not good. But Cleveland is somewhere in the middle there, and he's done well against Cleveland, so I think he may be able to keep Pittsburgh in this game, and that's what we really want him to do. 49 at-bats, we're 224 average, 717 OPS, so not bad numbers from Keller against Cleveland either. So we're going with Pittsburgh. I'm going a little bit against what I usually do, and I'm not really weighing the starting pitching matchup as heavily there, but I think the starting pitching matchup is kind of a wash in that game. So we're going situation and bullpen there. Philadelphia, Miami, I got to play in this one too, and it is a total. And let me see. What is the total here? I got to look and see what I have here. It is, you're going to see all my plays, though, if I do this. We're going under 8.5 in this game, although you have to pay a little bit extra for it. So this is Miami-Philly, under 8.5, minus 115. I mean, the public is going to come in, and they're only going to play an over in a Philadelphia game, man, even if it is Miami who can't hit. And they're going to look at these pitchers and be like, yeah, no, we're going to play the over in this game. And I'm going to disagree with that because the public still doesn't give Luzardo any respect. But look at the marketplace here. Philly up to a minus 310 favorite. So they are telling you, yeah, Luzardo, he is really, really good, man. Not only that, but he's up against his former team, so he might even be a little bit more jacked up to play against his former team. I don't know if this is the first time he's playing against them. Let me see. Let's look at his stats here real quick. I think it is because this is his first season away from Miami, so he's going to be even more jacked up. So I like this as well as far as the under. That means you're going to get probably a focused performance out of Luzardo because Miami let him go, and now he's on a contender now, and he gets to prove, hey, you guys let me go. So I think everything looks really good for Luzardo in this game, and he's pitching really well this season so far with a 2.31 ERA, 1.07 whip. The fact that he's on Philadelphia, people might start actually recognizing his name now as being a really good pitcher because he was pretty good on Miami, a good strikeout pitcher, and never got the accolades there because Miami sucks. And then he had a shortened season last year, I think, due to injury. He really only had 1 full season, but his numbers were fairly good there. And then that injury-plagued season, he didn't do well, but he had started pitching really well prior to that. And I always kind of thought he was good because his strikeout potential was so good. And look at his numbers this year, 29-7 strikeout walk ratio, 18 hits allowed in 23 and a third. And he has been facing like decent lineups here. Dodgers shut them out for 7 innings. That's impressive. San Francisco didn't do great in that game, but he did okay. And then, yeah, he faced Washington. They kind of suck. And the Braves, I mean, they've been struggling, but Braves still not really a bad team. And Miami has never faced him before because he was on their team for a while. So Miami, they have not faced him in an actual environment, like in an actual game environment where he's really trying to get them out. Even though, yeah, they might have taken batting practice against him or something, and they're familiar with what he throws. But that first time out, even though I have gone against this a couple of times, I do think that it is an edge to the pitcher. So I like Luzardo. Connor Gillespie, on the other hand, I am a little bit worried. 6.63 ERA, 1.37 whip. That's not good. So you have to be a little bit worried where he's facing a good hitting lineup. But then if you look at what he's done this year, he actually hasn't been that bad, except he had 1 really bad start against a pretty good hitting Arizona team. And that jacked his ERA up from 3.86 to 6.63. So prior to that, he'd allowed 3, 1, and 2 earned runs in his start. So really that's what we need here, I think. Because if Luzardo was totally shutting down Miami's offense, we just need Gillespie to hang in this game for maybe 4 to 5 innings and basically do what he did in every start other than the Arizona start. I think he is capable of that, even though Philadelphia's offense is pretty good. Philadelphia also has never seen Gillespie, and I know I used that argument that last game, and I got really hammered in that game because I played an under in that last Gillespie game, and it didn't work, but I'm going back and I'm doing it again. I think that Philly, not having seen him before, I think Gillespie should still have a little bit of an edge because of that. And he's a young dude where these hitters aren't really familiar with his stuff yet. So I do think he has a little bit of an advantage, and I think he's going to want to bounce back after that performance. He was just, he got kind of unlucky in that game too, though. I mean, 8 hits certainly isn't good in 5 innings and 2 walks as well, but he did have 6 strikeouts, and 2 home runs kind of made that run total be worse than it probably would have been otherwise. I mean, usually, if you give up 8 hits, you usually don't allow 8 runs as well. So his strikeout walk ratio is actually still good, and it's good on the season, 18-7, 19 hits allowed, 19 innings. That's not that bad. So we will go with the under in that game. I forgot to put it up. Under 8.5, minus 115 on Miami and Philadelphia. Moving on. Minnesota, Atlanta. There is money coming in on the Twins side in this game, and I don't really disagree with it. Atlanta down from minus 135 to minus 115, but they do have 59% of the cash coming in on them now, 54% of tickets. So it looks like after the line dropped, some cash kind of flipped over to the Atlanta side. I mean, on the surface, I would say Minnesota makes sense because the Braves are on the verge of a sweep. So Minnesota is going to be extra motivated to try to win this game, I think, and avoid the sweep. Atlanta might take them a little bit lightly. Joe Ryan, just on the surface, is the pitcher that is more trustworthy here. I like Joe Ryan. He has really good numbers again this year so far. 2.45 ERA, 0.77 whip, 23-2 strikeout walk ratio is insane. 15 hits allowed and 22 and a third is also really, really good. He's been excellent so far this season. He doesn't walk a lot of guys at all. But against the Braves, he actually struggles in 28 at-bats, 321 average, 1,143 OPS. So I don't know that I trust Ryan against this specific lineup. And Grant Holmes, the mulleted Fu Manchu man, is going for the Braves. I mean, he looks like he should be on the mound, man. He's actually pitching well to start this season, too, after he was pretty shaky last year. 3.78 ERA, 1.14 whip. That's not bad. And his worst start was against the Dodgers, who are a good hitting team. He is walking too many guys, though. 10 walks and 16 2/3 is awful. 9 hits is good. He hasn't allowed many hits, so he's keeping the damage low just because he's not allowing a lot of hits, but you can't keep succeeding if you're going to walk that many guys, so he really needs to get that under control. And Minnesota, in a very small sample size of 9 at-bats, has done well against him, 444 average and 1,434 OPS. So Holmes, I wouldn't really trust him in this game either. Both pitchers actually suck against the opposing lineups, so which could mean maybe you want to look to an over in this game. Total is dropped, though, from 8, juice to the over to 8, but it looks like money is coming in on the over, 70% of the cash, 50% of tickets on the under. So the over might make sense in this game, getting a little bit of a low total because these guys have good ERAs this year. Joe Ryan is indeed a good pitcher, but this specific matchup isn't good for him. And Holmes, with his walk numbers, it might mean he might regress a little bit. So I don't hate the over in that one either. Adam, what's up, man? I track my own I've been tracked on a couple of different websites, but I think the main website that was doing it is it hasn't existed for a few years now. So I'm tracking it on Action Network. So I am on there, which I think my name on there is like The Toad or something like that. I show it on my screen usually, but I've been on there for, I don't know, 2.5, 3 years or whatever. I did have spreadsheets where I was tracking it for a while. So in that case, I guess to some extent, yeah, you got to take my word for it. But you can go back to my. I've been doing this show since 2023, so you can go all the way back to that. Yeah, I mean, at the end of 2023, I had a really good run in 2022 and 2023. Those were 2 of my best years ever. And unfortunately, I started my show summer of 2023, so you got a really good back half of 2023 from me. And then last year, I totally bombed. I'm admitting that, and this year has been terrible as well. So really, really unfortunate because I've been doing this for 18 years, and I've been quite good, and I've only lost 2 years out of the 18 or whatever it is. Only 2015 and 2024 were my losing years, but unfortunately, one of them has to happen as soon as I start the show, basically, after I was really good in 2023 and even better in 2022. I will say that NBA and baseball are like my top 2 sports as far as how well I do. So hopefully that continues, and we're in like my favorite part of the year, really, because I do really well in both of those sports, and I do even better in NBA playoffs typically. So hopefully that continues. Seattle Mariners at Toronto here. You got Luis Castillo, not to be confused with Luis F. Castillo. This is the real Luis Castillo. He's not doing well this year. 4.22 ERA, 1.41 WHIP here. His WHIP indicates his ERA maybe should even be a little bit worse than this. Bad start at Cincinnati, though. That was really his one bad start, so maybe we can dial that back a little bit as far as saying that he's not good anymore. I don't think that's really the case. Great American Ballpark. I mean, that's going to hurt a lot of pitchers. Seattle's pitchers, though, they typically do worse on the road, and that is what we're looking at here. Castillo against the Blue Jays, though, has done well in 83 at-bats, 217 average allowed, 621 OPS. So I really wouldn't want to be fading Castillo here, but I know there is money coming in on the Toronto side. It does look like a sharp side here with Easton Lucas pitching. 4.70 ERA, but 1.11 WHIP indicates that his ERA should be a little bit better than that. He's a young guy who had kind of a late start to his career, I think due to injuries and whatever, and he started out pretty hot this year with 2 straight shutouts, and then he kind of ran into it against Atlanta and had a really bad start in that one, but he may bounce back from that. I mean, the way that he pitched in the first 2 starts was pretty good, so he may be in line for a bounce back here. And Seattle, though, they have seen him before, 7 at-bats worth, so he's not completely unknown to them. Because with a young guy like Lucas, one of the advantages he might have is that the opposing lineup hasn't seen him before. But the Mariners, some of their guys have seen him before, and they have 2 hits, 7 at-bats, 2 walks, whatever, 1 extra base hit, a double, 286 average, 873 OPS. So Lucas, I mean, he hasn't exactly been successful against them, so I'm kind of dialing it back on the what seems to be a lot of like professional fervor for Toronto in this game. They seem to like Toronto. I'm just going to stay off of the game. Seattle down from -120 to -110. 50% of tickets on them, 53% of the cash coming in on Toronto. I mean, typically, yeah, Seattle, they're kind of a fade team on the road. But Castillo, like I just said, he does pretty well against Toronto specifically. So in that situation, I'm not going to make a play there. Detroit is looking to sweep Kansas City in a 4-game series, but I don't think this is the spot where you want to try to go with Kansas City to try to break the sweep here, because Michael Wacha is pitching. His numbers aren't very good against Detroit. 284 average, 847 OPS allowed, and 88 at-bats. So I would not want to try to play on Kansas City, and unfortunately I did yesterday, and that didn't work out. But when you got a team that's trying to avoid the sweep, yeah, they're going to be motivated to try to do it, but you don't want them to have Michael Wacha on the mound up against Tariq Skubal, man. I mean, Skubal, obviously, he's an ace. I mean, he's one of the elite pitchers in baseball. 25-4 strikeout walk ratio this year and fewer hits than innings pitched. Coming off 2 straight shutouts against the Yankees and Brewers, who both can hit. Didn't even walk anybody in those games. I mean, he's rounding into form again after he started out a little bit shaky this season, but the first game was against the Dodgers, so give him a pass on that. Didn't pitch well in Seattle, though, for whatever reason, but now he's really starting to kick it into gear here. Maybe that was just because that was in between Dodgers and Yankees starts. Maybe he just wasn't focused. Who knows? But he's starting to, do what he usually does. And in 113 at-bats, Kansas City still hasn't figured him out. 230 average, 717 OPS isn't that low, but I mean, Skubal is a guy who's going to make it more likely you're going to get the sweep here. Detroit's up to a -208 favorite. I'm not going to look to play this game at all. Yankees Tampa, I do have my last MLB play as a total in this game, and this is going to be first 5-inning total in this one, which I got to type it into the thing here. Let me see. I'm going to go first 5 innings, under 4 at +100. And I know, I keep saying I don't like these first 5 unders very much, and I've been losing some of them this year, but this one I like, and the full game market read agrees with me on the under at least. The 8 total is down to 8 juice to the under. 59% of tickets are coming in on the over. especially because of what we saw yesterday. And I had the over yesterday. That was my best bet in the MLB yesterday, and the game went way over the total. So I had that one right. Shane Baz basically got lit up right away. I told you the Yankees hit him well. Yankees had Carlos Carrasco. I mean, he's not a guy that you can trust. So that game went over quite easily. So after that, people are going to think, oh, it's the Yankees. You know, we're playing in this George Steinbrenner Stadium here, which is a little bit more conducive to offense. Let's go over. I'm not gonna buy into that. I mean, that's what the public thinks coming off such a high-scoring game. I think this is going to be a significantly lower scoring game than yesterday. The total that I went over yesterday, I think, was 9. This total is at 8 and going lower, and it's that low for a reason. And that at least tells you that this stadium is probably not as over-friendly a stadium as that A's stadium in Sacramento is, and certainly not as Coors Field is either. So it is going to be warm again, just like yesterday, but the wind is blowing side to side again, just like yesterday. So yesterday I was like, well, it's decent conditions to go over, but I think it's not necessarily bad conditions for an under either here, and that is what I'm going here. But I am going to take the bullpens out of the equation because even though the Yankees bullpen is pretty good, the bullpens got used yesterday, so I don't want to deal with this. I mean, look at this crap. The Yankees used 5 relief pitchers yesterday, and the Rays used 6. So I want to take the bullpens out of the equation in this one, man, and just go with the starting pitching matchup to not give up a bunch of runs here, and hopefully it happens because these early overs, I mean, you have one bad inning, it kind of ends the whole thing. Although if one bad inning happens, arguably it can pretty much end the full game total as well, but it is detrimental to the first 5. But I think the pitching matchup is good for this. I mean, Max Fried is pitching for the Yankees. He's off to a really good start for them, 1.88 ERA. 1.17 whip. I expect a little bit of regression from him, but I mean, these numbers don't really tell you that that's going to happen. 28-5 strikeout walk ratio is really good. 23 hits allowed in 24 innings. I mean, last year he wasn't really great for the Braves. I think he was okay, and then I think maybe he got hurt or something. But he's off to a really good start for the Yankees. His numbers are not really misleading so far. His worst start was probably against the best offense that he faced on Milwaukee. So he hasn't really faced a good offense since then, but Tampa's not a good offense either. So I think he should be pitching well in this game. And Tampa's got 18 at-bats off him. He hasn't allowed any extra base hits, only 1 walk, and he's held him to a 111 batting average and 269 OPS. So Fried, small sample size, but he's done really well against these hitters. And Ryan Pepio, on the other hand, I expect a bounce back out of him. His numbers look pretty bad so far, 4.91 ERA, 1.59 whip so far this season, but he is nowhere near this bad. If you look at his career numbers so far through 3 seasons with the Dodgers and Tampa, his numbers were always way better than this. He was always a good strikeout pitcher, so I expect that he's going to see some progression back to what we're used to seeing out of Pepio. 24-9 strikeout walk ratio is not bad. That's a high strikeout rate. He's just walking a few too many, and he's allowing too many hits so far, and obviously too many home runs. The home run ball has really hurt him so far, and it has been in this stadium because it has it has been all games at home, so that does worry me a little bit, but really he only had 1 bad start against the Red Sox in his last start, and he still struck out 8 guys in that game. 8-2 strikeout walk ratio is good, so he's got to keep the ball in the park. Which has been a struggle for him. Like I said, I know maybe this ballpark. It's tough to figure out this ballpark, man. But he is a good pitcher, and I think he's going to do okay in this game against the Yankees. He has good numbers against the Yankees, which I'll show in a minute. But overall, I mean, strikeout walk numbers sort of indicate that he should get better. His career statistics show you he should get better than what he's done here. Against the Yankees, 23 at-bats. Only Aaron Judge has a hit off of him. No other Yankee hitter in the lineup today even has a hit off him. So that's an 0.43 average and 127 OPS. So both starting pitchers, even though we're in kind of small sample size here, have really dominant numbers against the opposing lineups. So I actually think the numbers on the total in this game I actually think are a little bit high because you're really looking at Tampa Bay's ace up against one of the Yankees' better starting pitchers as well. So I like the under. I think probably 3.5 would probably be a better, like a more fair first 5 line. I think 7.5 is probably a better full game line on this. Maybe not looking into the fact that maybe the stadium's a little bit more over-conducive, but that's what we're going with. The under, that's my last play of the day, but I'm going to go through the rest of these games. Mets in St. Louis, I mean, You look at this, it looks like a mismatch. I mean, Sonny Gray, really good pitcher for St. Louis. Clay Holmes, not as good. Definitely not proven, really, for the Mets. 3.66 ERA looks good. 1.47 whip does not. And he has done well against St. Louis, though, so that's kind of my hesitation. Only 13 at-bats worth, though, but 231 average, 516 OPS allowed against them. So he has actually done well against them. And Sonny Gray, I mean, way better pitcher this year if you look at the whip. So the whip is way different between the two pitchers, which is going to tell you that Sonny Gray's ERA is basically where it should be, 3.14. Clay Holmes' ERA should be way higher with how high his whip is. Sonny Gray, I mean, off to a really good start again. No surprise. 23-3 strikeout walk ratio, 15 hits allowed. Coming off a 7-inning shutout of Houston. He's just a good pitcher, man. But against the Mets, he's kind of struggled. 76 at-bats worth 15-14 strikeout walk ratio is not good. 6 home runs allowed across their lineup. 276 average, 915 OPS. So I can't bring myself to go with who I think is the better pitcher overall here in Sonny Gray. It does look like the money is moving that way, with the Mets down from -145 to -137. 65% of tickets, 58% of the cash. So some reverse line movement on a public Mets team here. I think it's because Sonny Gray is the better pitcher over Clay Holmes. I agree with that. I just don't love the specific matchup. A's in Milwaukee is interesting because we're going to have another guy making his Major League debut here, and that is Logan Henderson for the Brewers, making his Major League debut, 23-year-old. And ESPN actually is starting to put their headshots up earlier because, like, last year even they would just have, like, a silhouette here, and it's like, what does this guy even look like? Logan Henderson, he's a decent prospect if you look into his scouting, but he really throws pretty much 2 pitches, even though he has a 5-pitch arsenal. He really just goes fastball changeup. Like, those 2 pitches are way better than his, like, other stuff. He does have a breaking pitch and an alternate fastball, I think, but he basically goes fastball changeup and tries to mess with hitters by changing speeds, which sometimes that can work. I mean, that's kind of like what, like, Justin Steele does or somebody like that. I don't know if it will work for Henderson, but when you have a young pitcher and they're a prospect that's supposed to have something and they're entering the lineup because they think that this guy, deserves to get the call up, sometimes they do well because the opposing lineup isn't familiar with them, and the A's hitting isn't very good. So he might have an advantage against the A's hitters there. Jeffrey Springs, on the other hand, I mean, we basically know who he is. He's not great. 4.5 ERA, 1.4 whip. But his numbers against Milwaukee, actually good, although very small sample size. 7 at-bats, 2 strikeouts. He hasn't allowed a hit. So he hasn't allowed a base runner in a very small sample size against Milwaukee. So he might have a decent shot to pitch okay in this game as well. The money is definitely coming in on Milwaukee here, though. They're up from -105 to -131. 56% of tickets, 79% of the cash coming in on them. And I don't disagree with that. I do agree with taking the guy in his Major League debut against a guy who at least is, like, known to the league in Springs. It's just that I worry that Milwaukee might struggle offensively against him as well. So I like the under in this game as well, and that might be the better way to play this. The total is up a little bit from 8, juiced to the over, juiced a little bit more heavily, but 76% of the tickets on the over, 65% of the cash coming in on the under. I would agree with the under in this one, but then you get into some hesitations there because Milwaukee's bullpen is terrible. I don't know if we can trust either bullpen in this game, really, so I'm going to lay off of it, but I lean to Milwaukee and the under in that one. Arizona, Chicago, we get Merrill Kelly against Jameson Taillon. I mean, Merrill Kelly should be the better of these 2 pitchers here, especially based on what they did last year. Merrill Kelly off to a bad start this year, but I mean, he's not as bad as this. I don't think he's old enough to be, like, amidst a huge regression yet. 5.57 ERA, 1.33, whip. His really bad start, that game against the Yankees in the Bronx, is just skewing his numbers horribly. Like, the rest of his starts are really good. He went at least 5 1/3 in every other start, except, 4 walks in his other start against the Cubs. I know that's not good, but that was his first start of the season. So I'll give him a pass on that. And then after getting bombed by the Yankees, 6 innings in each of the next 2 starts, only allowing 3 total earned runs, and with a 13-3 strikeout walk ratio there. So he's starting to turn it around, as I think we would expect. His numbers against the Cubs are pretty good in 97 at-bats, worth 247 average, 635 OPS. So I expect Kelly to maybe have a better game in this one. Jameson Taillon, I think, is less trustworthy. 5.4 ERA, 1.25 WHIP. His numbers, 18.5 strikeout walk ratio is not that bad. He really had a bad start against the same Arizona team to start out the season. I think that might have been that game. That might have been the Merrill Kelly game, was it? So we might have the same pitching matchup in this game. It was. So Kelly pitched better than he did in this game, despite the walks. And other than that, Tyon has been better since then as well. But he pitched in Petco, and he faced a couple of struggling or weak lineups in the A's and Texas. But one of those games was at the A's stadium, which is that home run conducive stadium. So I guess it's somewhat impressive for that reason. So he is starting to pitch better as well. Against Arizona, he's done mediocre in 91 at-bats. 253 batting average isn't bad, but he's allowed 5 home runs to them for a 790 OPS. However, all 5 home runs are from Eugenio Suarez, who is not only 9 for 34 off him, but has 5 home runs and 3 walks off him. So if you're looking for player props, you might want to go to Suarez here. Again, hits plus runs plus RBIs, I always say, is preferable to total bases, because total bases, if your guy gets a walk, that erases that at bat and you can't get anything out of it, or at least hits plus runs plus RBIs, at least he could get an RBI if it's with the bases loaded, and he can obviously score a run if he gets scored after he gets on base, so it's not a totally dead at bat that way. And usually the total bases almost always gets thrown up there at like 1.5. Like the books kind of just don't care. Like if the guy's in the starting lineup, it'll pretty much be in that range. But if you can find that specific matchup where this one guy drills this opposing pitcher, you could look that way. That might be the case here, as Suarez specifically wrecks Jameson Tyon and has 100% of Arizona's home runs against them. So as far as the side is concerned, I don't know what we want here. The money's coming in on the Cubs again, just like it was yesterday, up from minus 125 to minus 134. And I think both days, actually. I think the money has come in on the Cubs both games, like the professional money. And I think the Cubs, have they won both games? Let me see. I think they lost yesterday, right? No, they won. So they did win both games. So the professional bettors had both games right. And they're on the Cubs again here, up from minus 125 to minus 139. 64% of the cash on them, but 55% of tickets coming in on Arizona. So the public likes Arizona, thinking that they're going to get a game here and thinking this is a competitive series. They don't like Jameson Tyon, most likely. But I don't really like him either, so I'm going to stay off the game. I don't know that I necessarily agree with the professionals there. The LA Dodgers and Texas, this is a rubber match. Tyler Mahle has been pitching really well for Texas so far, though. Do you usually see a guy have a resurgence like this as a 30-year-old? I don't know. 0.92 ERA, 0.86 WHIP is just ridiculous. I think there's no way those numbers are sustainable. He's going to get hit at some point, man. 21-9 strikeout walk ratio. It's too many walks. 8 hits allowed is ridiculous in 19 2/3 innings, so he has not allowed many hits at all. 3 straight starts where he's gone at least 5 innings and allowed 1 total run over that entire span. And one of those games was against the Cubs at Wrigley, which is a good lineup. Tampa and Anaheim, not so much. But he is running into the Dodgers here, man, and that's a different animal. Dodgers, and this excludes Ohtani again. Or no, it doesn't exclude him. He's there. We should exclude Ohtani, but he is only 1 for 6 off of Mahle with 2 strikeouts. So if we drop him out, the numbers would actually increase a little bit. So Ohtani, I think, is still not back. I told you he was out yesterday. I forgot the reason why. I was like, is he hurt? I don't know. He's actually out on paternity leave, and he's taking like a week off. So he's going to miss like 5 games, which is, I think, kind of ridiculous, to be honest. I mean, in my opinion, yeah, family is obviously important, but so yeah, be there when your baby is born, but I think get back to the game of baseball, man. You know what I mean? Like, I think that's kind of what a man does. That's what hockey players do more so. Like, it seems like in baseball and basketball, the pussy sports, it seems like guys are taking like more time off and whatever. Like, I think, who was it? Was it Jokic who did that not that long ago in the NBA? I don't even know, man. But like hockey, you had it was somebody who was on the Bruins last year. I think it might have been Charlie Coyle. I forget who it was. Like, had like a child. His wife like gave labor. He was in the hospital for it, and then he booked it right over to the Bruins and played like in the playoffs that same day. That's what a man does, man. But either way, Mal, if you include Ohtani being 1 for 6 off him with 2 Ks, it amounts to 103 at bats, 301 average allowed, and 788 OPS. So the Dodgers have hit him well, and it wasn't Ohtani doing that damage. So him being out of the lineup, I don't think really matters as far as the matchup is concerned. I mean, of course, maybe it matters because he is the best hitter in baseball, but he doesn't hit Molly particularly well, and the rest of the Dodgers hitters do. Tyler Glass, no pitching. I mean, he's going to get better. I mean, a 4.85 ERA, 1.23 whip isn't that high, but I expect both of these to drop. He had one really bad start where he only went 2 innings, gave up 5 earned runs at Philadelphia, and walked 5 guys. His other couple of starts have been good, so I think he's going to be good. I mean, that's usually the case. I mean, he's not that old a guy. He basically is one of the aces of the Dodgers. I mean, they have multiple aces. He's only allowed 7 hits in 13 innings, 17-9 strikeout walk ratio. He's got to get the walks down. He did only walk 1 in his last start against the Cubs, so he is obviously the better pitcher here. 69 at bats worth against Texas. He's held him with 217 average, but he's given up 4 long balls, which is a 748 OPS, which is a little bit concerning. Most of it was semi and with 2 home runs off of him. So if you want to look for a player prop again, you could look in that direction potentially. But Glasnow overall is good. So I do think he has the edge in this one. I've heard some professional bettors like Texas here as a pretty big home underdog, but I don't think I want to go that way. Dodgers up from -130 to -154. I don't know if I'd want to lay that much of a price, though. Dodgers, you're basically always paying a tax with them. At the lower price of -130, maybe it makes sense, but the line's getting a little bit out of control. 78% of tickets, 85% of the cash coming in on the Dodgers. I don't disagree with that move. I do think the Dodgers have the better of the starting pitching matchup here. So I do like them in general, but I just don't think we want to touch it as far as how high that total is. Washington and Colorado are playing a doubleheader. I think they must have had I think it might have been a snow out because it's actually snowing in Colorado. And even with that, even with cold temperatures, the game still went over yesterday, which is ridiculous. So this game got Jake Irvin against Kyle Freeland. Irvin has terrible numbers against Colorado. I mean, he's off to a decent start this season, 3.91 ERA, 1.22 whip. That's good. Colorado in 14 at-bats. I know it's not a lot of at-bats, but he's allowed 3 home runs to them, 5 walks with 5 strikeouts, 429 average, and 1,722 OPS. So Irvin has not done well against Colorado, and I would guess some of that was probably in this stadium. Toglia has 2 of those 3 home runs. So, again, if you want to look for player props, could look to that guy. I don't even really know who he is. Kyle Freeland, I think, actually has the upper hand because he's used to playing in Colorado. I know his numbers aren't great, 4.88 ERA, 1.21 whip. I mean, out of Colorado's starting rotation, though, he's one of the least bad of their starters, at least. So at least you can say that. And he's got a 17-2 strikeout walk ratio, which isn't that bad. And he's only allowed 1 home run, but he's only played in 1 home game, and that was the game where he did allow a home run. Against Washington, okay numbers, 42 at-bats, 3-7 strikeout walk ratio is terrible. 286 average is a little high, but 697 OPS isn't really that bad. He actually hasn't allowed a home run against the Washington's lineup a little bit weak, so my lean would be to Colorado in game 1 there because Irvin gets messed up by Colorado's offense. I think Freeland actually has the upper hand there. Washington down from -115 to -109. 53% of tickets on Washington. 75% of the cash coming in Colorado. And with the Colorado Rockies, they're bad, but they do sometimes have that home advantage there, playing in that high elevation. So when you do play Colorado, usually you're wanting to play them at home in a game like this, especially at an underdog price. And that is, I think I've done that twice, I think, so far this season. I think I got them both right. So I do lean to that one in game 1. You got the Giants and Anaheim here, and I don't trust Justin Verlander, man. And I think I think the market doesn't really either at this point. San Francisco's down from -110 to -107, 67% of tickets, 68% of the cash. But I think they're public a little bit, and the lines will be down on them. I think the public still sees Justin Verlander, and he's going to get better, right? Because he's a Hall of Fame pitcher, man. And he's dating Kate Upton, so he's got it made, but I think he's going to have to retire, man, and just go live with your hot wife, man. 6.75 ERA this year, 1.77 whip. Not good, man. I mean, at some point, it's going to be a little bit damaging to his career, I think, if he keeps pitching this badly, although it's kind of been spread out over every start. His worst start was this one where he actually had the most strikeouts as well against Cincinnati. So, I mean, maybe he's going to put it together a little bit and get a little bit better. He's done well against Anaheim with 127 at-bats in his career, 205 average, 538 OPS. Really good numbers, but Verlander, again, I don't know that you can really look at his historical stats anymore, even with a lot of these at-bats being more recent, because it seems like he's starting to fall off a cliff. And with these like Hall of Fame pitchers like this, that happens. Like, they'll be like really, really good and like better than serviceable, and then they'll just completely fall off and be horrific, and then have to retire. And we might be entering that stage with Verlander. Kikuchi pitching for Anaheim. He's been doing okay so far this season, even though the run support has certainly not been there for him. But a 4.13 ERA is okay. 1.17 whip is pretty good. He's been decent this year. Not allowing that many hits has been his thing. Giants have been him okay in 43 at-bats, 279 average, and 912 OPS, as he's allowed 4 home runs, 2 of them to Chapman. So player prop alert on that one as well. So I don't know what I would want to do in that game, to be honest. Verlander is really hard to gauge. It's kind of a wait-and-see approach. San Diego, Houston, I lean to San Diego here. I mean, Houston is going for the sweep, I think, right? So San Diego might show up a little bit extra for that reason. Houston might take them a little bit less seriously for that reason. Dylan Cease is on the mound for San Diego, and I think he's still a really good pitcher, and I think his numbers are just massively skewed by one bad start. 6.64 ERA, 1.52 whip looks bad, but he is not going to continue pitching like this, man. I mean, he had one 9-run, 4-inning start at that horrible stadium in Sacramento where he just got lit up in that game. Did walk 3 guys there, too. I'll give him a pass for that. He's got a 24-7 strikeout walk ratio overall. The strikeouts are still there. The walk numbers aren't that bad either. And against Houston, he's done really well. In 96 at-bats, he's dominated them, even though he's walked 10 guys. Half of it is Altuve and Alvarez. So not really that bad either. And actually, 3 more of them are Paredes. So only 2 of the walks are anybody else. 25 strikeouts, 146 average, 435 OPS allowed. So Dylan Cease, in a pretty big sample size, has actually dominated the Astros hitters. So I like Cease here. Framber Valdez on the other side has been a little bit worse this season as well. I mean, he's alternated shutouts and bad starts, which is insane. He had a shutout against the Mets, then did bad against the Giants, both at home. Then in 2 road starts, he had a shutout at Seattle, but Seattle, very pitcher-friendly park, and I had Seattle in that game, unfortunately, because Valdez actually does bad against Seattle's lineup, but Seattle lost it for me in extra innings, which sucks. Valdez did a lot better than I expected, but then he went on the road again and did poorly. So really, he only has 1 good start besides the one in the most pitcher-friendly park in baseball in Seattle. So I don't know what to expect. He's coming off getting rocked by St. Louis, but if he is alternating good and bad starts, it should be a good start for him in this one. Overall, his numbers aren't that good this year, though. And against San Diego, mixed bag, 58 at-bats. He's walked way too many of them. 13 walks to 15 strikeouts. That's not good. So the 241 average looks good, but 794 OPS is not very good. So some of his metrics aren't great. I prefer Dylan Cease in this game, and I prefer San Diego just overall. I think I prefer them. I think their bullpen might have a little bit of an edge as well. And then Houston with that win yesterday, I believe they had to use some of their back end of their bullpen here. They did. So Houston used some of their better relievers as well than San Diego did yesterday. So bullpen, I think, goes to San Diego slightly in this game as well. So I like San Diego in this game. The market, again, is disagreeing with me, though, with Houston up from -110 to -128, 50% of the cash on them, 75% of tickets coming in on San Diego. So the public likes San Diego, but I'm going to disagree with the professional money here, man. I like Dylan Cease here, and I think his numbers are obviously very, they're not indicative of what he really is because of that bad start. And then to finish this off, we have the 2 night games. So that's the ESPN Sunday night game. That is a big game. So maybe Houston won't overlook San Diego just because it is a big Sunday night game, but I still like Dylan Cease there. Washington, Colorado, the doubleheader, the second game. My lean would be to the over in this one. I mean, you got Brad Lord pitching, and this is going to be after the bullpens might get run out in the first game, so you might have some bad bullpen performances in this game, although the hitting, you got to really watch it because in the doubleheader, the pitching might be worse in the second game, especially because of the bullpen usage, but also the hitters might be a little bit more tired. And so you might see a little bit worse hitting for that reason. So I think it's tough to gauge. But Brad Lord, I mean, this guy, Lord, he has not been good so far. 4.82 ERA, 1.93 whip is indicative he should be even worse with 7 walks and only 5 strikeouts and 11 hits allowed in 9 1/3. He has yet to go 5 innings in a game. Not good. Not good stuff, although the Rockies have never seen him before. So is that going to be an advantage to him? I don't know. I mean, he also has not seen Coors Field before, so I don't know that he's really going to do well in Coors Field. And then Senzatella on the other side is, even out of Colorado's bad pitchers, I mean, he's bad even for a Colorado pitcher. 2.18 whip is unbelievably bad. 5.89 ERA should actually probably be higher with a whip that bad. I mean, he's been pretty bad. Even in his shutout against Philadelphia, he still allowed 10 hits and somehow got out of there not allowing an earned run. And he allowed 9 hits in the prior game. I pointed this out when I took the over in that Milwaukee game, and Milwaukee did pretty much all of the damage to get that one over in that one. So that was a win for me. But I told you, he'd given up 19 hits in 9 innings going into that game, and yet somehow hadn't allowed a run, which is absurd. And he had no strikeouts in the first game either. So he's just been bad overall. He's not striking anybody out. He's allowed 36 hits in 18 1/3. It's not even the walks that are doing it. It's the hits are really what's doing it. He's just getting knocked around by everybody. Granted, Philadelphia, Milwaukee, Dodgers, I mean, that's a gauntlet of offenses to face. But still, he sucks. And against Washington, not good either. And only 22 at bats. Only 4 of their guys have seen him before, but they've pretty much all had success against him. 4.55 average, more walks than strikeouts, 3 walks, 2 strikeouts, and a 12.02 OPS. So I would look to the over in the second game there. The total up from 10.5 to 10.5 juice to the over. I mean, in Coors Field, you're going to have to play. You're going to have to go over a high total there, but I would basically never play an under in Coors Field. As even yesterday, where I thought the pitching matchup was conducive to an under in that game yesterday, it still went way over the total. I think with Gore and Dollander. I mean, that was just crazy. And I was wrong about Hunter Green, too. Hunter Green actually didn't do well yesterday, so the professional money, I think, got that game right with Baltimore. I thought it would be an under game, and it was not, so I was wrong about that. Anyway, plays today one more time. NBA, we're going to lay the huge amount of points with the Cavs, minus 12.5. Toronto Maple Leafs in the NHL. I know we're laying some big favorites here, but it's playoff time. Minus 160. Cleveland was minus 12.5. Major League Baseball, we're fading Cleveland and going Pittsburgh minus 115 or whatever it is. Under full game, Miami, Philadelphia at 8.5. And under first 5 inning, under 4. Or you might have to pay a little bit, but 4.5, if you can find that at like minus 120 maybe. That's in Yankees, Tampa. That's going to do it for me. Tower Gang Toad on Twitter. Patreon.com/Tower Gang to support the best podcast ever. Peace out, everybody. Thanks for hanging out.